channel. There's nothing there now, but there will be something up usually by the end of Thursdays. My son will have it uploaded. So if you miss a day, or if you want to go back over something I said, because what I said was so incredibly powerful, I just want to put it on loop. So anyway, it'll be there. Okay. So the textbook is this right here, and we're going to go into it in just 2 seconds. This one right here is pretty purple. All right, you see it? So the Lord said, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart. So anatomy is the study of the macroscopic and microscopic structures of an organism. Physiology is the study of the functions of the organism and its parts. So we're going to look at the details of us, and then we're going to look at how we work. All right, that's what A and P is. So there is the semester goals. Our goals are for 7 modules. We will reach that thanks now to Zoom and to video. Looking at your syllabus, you see for today, August 20th, class introduction and overview, and we're going to do most of that today. So we're probably going to have to hustle a little bit next week to complete the first module, and if we need to take a little extra time, there's no problem with that as well. But the point is, you will notice how we do this. So it's designed to lecture through half of the module. You weren't responsible for anything for today except to show up, all right? But then this week, depending on how far we get in the module, you will do homework based on that. So if we lecture through half of the module, you'll do homework based on that, and that is on your own questions and study guide questions, which are in your book at the end of each module. And then the terms, which you also hold in your hot little hand, but in terms of these terms, we should fill them out in class. We should fill them all out in class. We ain't gonna get to much today, but we will next week, so you don't have to sweat that. We will fill these things out as we go. You notice that there's a lot of stuff to fill out right now, and that's the way we start the course. There's handwriting at the beginning. I don't like handwriting, so not too long into the course, you won't be writing much at all in terms of these terms. I just give it to you, but you write now because I want you to become familiar with the textbook. I want you to become familiar with the bolded stuff and all that. Was that a hand? No? Okay. All right, so lecture through half of the thing. Next week, August 27th, we're scheduled to lecture through the second half of Module 2. It's probably going to be like the second 3/4, all right, or maybe even more. Then that week, you'll finish the homework for the second half of Module 1, all right? The following week, September 3rd, if we were able to finish Module 1, if not, we'll just wrap it up, and then we'll do the first half of Module 2, and I will check your homework for Module 1. Again, if we were able to get it. I'm not going to put the pressure on you if you weren't able to do it. When we begin class, we kind of ramp it up a little bit at a time. But the point is, I check your homework the week after we finish the module, all right? And then, as you'll notice, it's in red, just to inspire you, to fill you with fear. Yeah, thank you. You get a take-home test, all right? On your take-home tests, at the top of your take-home test, it will say, open notes, in other words, terms, open homework, that's stuff that you finish, and we'll talk about it in a second, open drawings, but not open textbook. You will not be allowed to use the textbook, excuse me, on your tests, all right? I'll explain my reasoning about that in a second. But in terms of drawings, you will notice on the back page, tests are worth 80% of your grade. Homework is worth 20%. Extra credit for drawing text figures. So you will see a lot of figures in this textbook, a lot of them. 2 of you enjoyed drawing. You mentioned that. So this might be right up your alley. But so you learn 2 ways, digitally, vis-a-vis your left brain, You learn mathematics, you learn rationality and logic vis-a-vis your left brain. The left brain sees the eyebrows and the eyes and the part in the hair. The right brain sees the whole face. All right? The right brain is the agency, and incidentally, vis-a-vis the corpus callosum, both of them work in tandem, and sometimes you can't exactly isolate this stuff. But for the most part, the right brain is holistic thinking. It's what is used in the production of art. It's what's used in the production of music. Have you got any architects here yet? And some of you are engineering perhaps, but architecture is not only left brain in terms of the angles and the heights and the depths and all that stuff, but it's also where does the beauty in architecture come from? It's the right brain thinking that develops that creativity. Well, in terms of learning anatomy, one of the best ways to do it is to look at the pictures. That's what we liked when we were kids, right? We liked to look at the pictures in the book. Well, as it turns out, there's a lot of learning right there. And so the next step is if you draw that stuff. I don't care if you don't have talent. I don't care if your drawings are kind of gibberishy, you know. I guess that's a word. Scribble. Thank you very much. If you draw it and label it and show me, I'll give you extra credit. And why? Because you'll be learning. You'll be surprised, but you'll be learning. Which then now brings me to my discussion of my philosophy for this course. So I spent 12 years of school, 4 years of undergraduate school, and 3 years of graduate school, basically memorizing stuff in order to regurgitate it because I was required to on a test. So the weeks before, especially the night before, I would sit down and memorize stuff. Sometimes in a study group, there's one more reminder for you. In this course, if you can, especially when you get to college, if you can find people in classes, the same class, it works better, believe it or not, sitting in the same class, listening to a professor that hour. But to get together and study in groups, to quiz one another in groups, you will be surprised how your learning improves. That has to do with left and right brain learning as well. But anyway, I spent my life regurgitating material to put it on tests, did pretty well in undergraduate school, very well in the classes I liked, not so great in classes I didn't care about. In graduate school I did great, but the day or the day afterwards, I didn't know nothing. I mean, I didn't remember anything I memorized. That's just the way it worked with short-term learning. I'm not interested in you regurgitating for the sake of showing me that you can remember things for a day or two and then have it gone. You're interested in a medical career. The last thing I want you to do is regurgitate facts for me and have it gone, for you to have to relearn it another time. What I want you to do, and I want all of you to do, is to learn the material. And believe it or not, it's possible without having to memorize. It really is. And the way it's done is what I'm going to ask of you. I'm going to ask you to do your homework. And if you'll do your homework, if you'll read this material, if you'll look at the pictures, if you'll do drawings, if you go over the material, over and over the material, you will do fine. The Hebraic method of learning, the Hebraic method of teaching is repetition. The scriptures, you will find, as you've studied them, there's a lot of repetition in Scripture. We will never get it all. There's so much material there that we will never, ever, ever begin to come close to learning what we can about God. But we can learn a lot. But we'll also find that a lot of that material is repeated. That was the Hebraic method, over and over and over again. And if you will do that, if you will look over the material that I've handed you in terms of your terms, if you will do your terms, if you will do your homework, you'll find yourself learning. I didn't know I knew that. Where did that come from? It will have come because you will have learned, not memorized. We got anybody in here? I've had students, very few, but I've had students who have photographic memories. We got anybody in here with that? Do you really? Did you tell me that last year?
I might have.
I don't think you did. How about that? So, you know what I just said? Forget it. What a blessing. That is so exciting. I mean, that really is. Some folks have that. I don't have that. I can't sit down and memorize something and it stick. And I bet you can't too, but you can learn it. And you will if you'll do as I ask you. Now, the tests I just told you are open notes. These things here, open homework, and open drawings. Those if you do any drawings, I'll let you use them on the test. All right? Why? Because I want you to do well on the tests, but that's not the measure, really. The measure is your learning. All right? And if you do as I'm asking you, you're going to learn. And so we will have success in this course. All right? Let's see, what else? We will do lab, but we are not, this is not an A&P lab, you know? I mean, we don't have microscopes for everybody. We don't have that stuff. We will dissect a cow eye and a cow heart at the end of the course. All right, we will do the anatomy of the eye and of the heart in spring semester. And so at the end of spring semester, those of you who want to participate in that, we will dissect a cow eye and a cow heart. All right, it'll be the last day of class. There'll be no lecture. We just can't do lab and lecture all in the same time frame. So we're not getting to much lecture today. So, is there any questions about what I'm expecting of you in terms of time frame? We lecture through each module in 2 weeks. The third week, I send you home with a take-home test for that module. That third week, I also check your homework. All right? So in this case, September 3rd, I will check your homework. I'll send you home with that take-home test. You'll bring it back the next week. All right? And we'll do that throughout the course. This course is not cumulative in the sense that I will test you on the material from Module 1 for the last test of the semester. The material is cumulative in the sense that what you learn from Module 1 will carry forward. So that's why we learn. We don't memorize. In the old days, I hated cumulative exams because what I learned in the first chapter, I had forgotten. So I had to go back and relearn it or rememorize it. But this course, you're going to learn. It's not a cumulative exam, but you will build on the things that you learn from each module. I think that's got it. Is there any questions with regards to my philosophy for you in terms of this course, or any of the specifics? Yes, sir.
When we're doing the questions, because I know some teachers do this, do you want us to write down the question and then put the answer?
That would help you for your test if you did that. You don't have to. Here's the other side of the coin. This gets at my philosophy too. I will not check your homework. I will check to see that you've done your homework. On the third week, on September, whatever that date was, you will bring your homework up to me and I'll look and I'll see, oh yes, there's writing there and it says whatever module it is and you've done your homework. All right? If you wrote gibberish and it's titled Module 1, I'll give you 20% credit. I'm not going to be your mother in this course. I mean, I could be, and a lot of teachers are. I want you to learn, and you're at the stage in your life where you have decisions to make about your future. One of the smartest guys I knew just cheated his way through college. And it was the dumbest thing because he was a really smart guy. But instead of spending his time learning the material, he just cheated his way through, And that set him up for a lifetime of that stuff. I mean, he ended up not doing too good in life. He just didn't. And so, yeah, you can get by and you can forget the homework and show me gibberish and, and do okay on the tests. See the problem before you and God, but for you is you won't have learned anything. This will be an exercise in nothing, all right? So I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm not going to force you to do this stuff. You're going to show me your homework that you did it, and you will learn if you do. And if you don't, I mean, well, that's just what's going to happen. But you're old enough where you can make these decisions now for yourself. You can decide to be someone who is responsible. And as a result, enjoy the benefits, the blessings of being responsible. So that's what we do for homework. I'll check your tests. I grade your tests, all right? So, but, you know, with regards to your homework, that's where it's all done. That's the repetition stuff, all right? If you get in, the questions that's asked at the end of these chapters are good questions. They make you go back through some of the material and look it up. And the last thing, that's right, we're not going to do our DNA. The worst thing, and I didn't get a lot of it when I was your age in terms of high school, but I got it all the time. Not in all classes, but in enough of them that it was the worst part of my educational experience. And that is to put in the time, to study for tests, to be responsible. You know, and there were times when I didn't. You know, there just was. And I didn't deserve a good grade if I didn't get one. But there was a lot of times when I did. And I'd show up at the test, and here would be questions based on material that I never solved. I was never told that I was responsible for that material. And it was infuriating. It makes me hot to this day. I didn't get it as much in seminary, but there was a couple of professors in seminary that did that stuff. And it was infuriating to sit down and study stuff and then to find out that you didn't study all the material. You didn't, because they just surprised you. I thought if I ever taught, I would never ever do that, and I do not do that. As a matter of fact, I had a professor in seminary that showed me the way, and that is what you hold in your hot little hands. These terms, because that is what I'm going to hold you responsible for. I want you to know this material. This is summarized from your textbook, from all of the material, the 30-some pages in each module, down to this. But this is good. This is specific. This is what I want you to know. And if you're familiar enough with this material that you can go over it and understand it, you'll do great on the test. All right? No surprises. I'm not interested in ha ha! You didn't know about this. So that's the deal. I think that's got it all. So any questions or comments about this? Let's just go ahead and look at this. We can do one or two things, and then we're going to hustle next week. And if we don't get it all done next week, we'll do it the following week. I've got 3 minutes. Is that what we've got? So look at the first page of your notes, your terms. So gross anatomy on page 1 of your textbook. Page 1. There it says. Gross anatomy, the study of the macroscopic structures of an organism. All right? Write that down. Right at the top under gross anatomy. The study of the macroscopic structures of an organism. So that's the big stuff. All right? The stuff that you see. All right? So microscopic anatomy. Well, guess what that would be? The study of the microscopic structures of an organism. The study of the microscopic structures of an organism. It's stuff you can't see. The stuff that you examine vis-a-vis a microscope. All right? Human anatomy. All right? Well, that is the study of you and I. So just write it. The study of human beings. All right? Humanity is the study of human beings. The anatomy of human beings, if you want to ask that or add that. Comparative anatomy is there we go. It is, how about this? I'll summarize it. It is comparing the anatomy of other vertebrates. All right? At Auburn, this was in the late 70s when I was there, the comparative anatomy course, the bone portion of that course, you went into a room that was actually a little bit bigger than this, lab tables on the walls, and 2 massive lab tables down the middle, lab tables all the way around, filled with bones. All of the tables filled with bones. And you were required to go in there and identify the species of those bones. You had to go in there and memorize that stuff, which was just thrilling for me because I didn't know how to learn back then. But anyway, it was comparing in this case, the bone structure of various vertebrates. And in terms of comparative anatomy, that's what we're talking about. Comparing the anatomy of various vertebrates. Surface anatomy. Turn to page 2. So surface anatomy is what appears on your skin. All right? The study of what you are able to see on the outside of you. So that's not very concise, but let's just say it's what appears on your skin. All right, regional anatomy is the study of various parts of the body, and that's what this course consists of. And we're just about out of time. But we will study various regions of the body. And we will study various systems of the body that reflects those regions. We'll look at those in just a little bit. But again, in terms of regional anatomy, that's what we're talking about, various regions of the body. We are really at time, and I think we've got people afterwards and we've got stuff to break down. So you can see, so we got 6 pages of notes. We didn't even get half of the first page. So what does that mean? Does that mean we go home terrified that we're behind, that I'm behind, and we haven't done any of this stuff? No. Just means we get it next week. And if we don't finish next week, we'll finish it the following week and then introduce the next one. We don't stress on stuff like this. The last thing I'm interested in, that's the last little bit of my stuff. I don't learn when I'm stressed, all right? I can get work done, but I don't learn well when I'm under stress. So I'm not interested in stressing you about this stuff either. So, questions? Comments? Nice to meet you guys. Yes, sir?
Is it okay if we go with another cell at home?
What's that?
Is it okay if we fill out this paper at home, or?
I still didn't hear you.
Is it okay if we fill out the paper at home?
Of course. If you want to, that would be fine. Absolutely. You don't have to. The question was, is it okay to go ahead and fill in what we haven't done yet? Of course you can. Of course you can. But the point is, for these things, my intention is for you to hear it here. All right? And you will hear it here. So you don't have to do it at home. Thank you, guys. See you next week.